Okay, welcome back to the Normal Sports Show. We are fully in Masters Week, and got a fun show today. Presented by Seed Golf today. Thanks to them. Shout out to them for sponsoring us, for getting us to Augusta. And Jason, how we doing, man?
Doing great. It's like the week before Christmas, something like that. But yeah, doing good.
Yeah, we are recording this the week before Golf Christmas, and we've got a fun guest, Webb Simpson, playing in San Antonio right now. Webb, how you doing?
I'm doing great. You know, I don't love Monday through Wednesdays on the PGA Tour. It's like, get your work done, the boring stuff. I get excited for Thursday, so kind of through the preparing and ready to go play tomorrow.
Well, I was laughing before we came on, before we all jumped on here, because you know, you're a U.S. Open champion, you're a Players champion, 3 Ryder Cups, you've done all this stuff in golf, and now you're just a guy who's texting other guys trying to figure out a time to get on a podcast. Like that's where you're at. That's what age we all are now. So
exactly,
you've got your own podcast, the Bible Caddy podcast, really good. I just listened to the Tyler Toney episode. He's with Dude Perfect, and that was great. What has it been like? Like, have you enjoyed having your own podcast? Like, what has that experience been like?
Yeah, well, between William Kane, Ben Crane, and myself, like we're the least knowledgeable in technology of anyone we know, and so we've struggled on the production side, the editing side, and it really wasn't like our personality really to invest a lot of time into a podcast because we weren't big podcasters before. I mean, I love a good podcast here and there, but it wasn't really our world at all. And I talk to those guys on a regular basis enough to where, why don't we just see what this does in the golf world? And there's not really anything like it, you know, where we're engaging on current golf events, kind of recapping tournaments, really getting into the nitty gritty of golf technique, which is more Ben's specialty, but also diving into the Christian faith at the same time. And we realize there's a big group of people in the game of golf who are interested in it. And so I think more than anything, we've just been thankful that people enjoy it. And really it gives us an excuse to stay in better touch as great friends. But it's really fun. I've loved every minute of it.
That's awesome. I think that, you know, it's funny, like whenever I write about my own faith in the newsletter, or reference things, like you hear from a lot of people and you're like, oh, like, you know, you think of the C.S. Lewis quote of like, oh, you know, it's not, I can't remember exactly how he said it, but you too, like in terms of like friendship, like, oh, you too, you know, and I think that is, that's been really kind of a cool thing. I find it also helps, and maybe you're the same, but you're like, I kind of got to stay sharp on like, what do I know about what's going on in golf? What do I know about about my Bible, about, you know, like the things that you're actually talking about?
Oh yeah, we got to be on. I mean, I remember last year, whenever Scotty won the Masters, he's won 2, right?
2022 and 2024, yeah.
Okay, so it was after the 24 Masters. So a couple years ago, and we had him on for Monday after the Masters. And that's the day he picked. And I texted him back. I said, hey, man, Masters is in a month. Like, you know, it's the Monday after. He goes, yeah, it's fine. I'll be home. No problem. I'm like, okay. Well, come Sunday night, obviously, I texted him. I said, no worries on rescheduling. This is after he won, assuming he would pick another date. And he texted me back. He's like, no, I'm good. I'll be home. I'm like, okay. And so our following, we had such a little following, but just because he came on the day after, you know, the sports world and beyond, they want to hear from the recent champ of any tournament, of any sport. And so like Scotty doing that kind of gesture for us really helped us. And, you know, we had a guy heard about yesterday. He came to faith in Christ on the episode with Scotty Scheffler. And now he's leading his own feature group, we call it, in his own hometown. And so just seeing how intertwined everything is in the game of golf and faith it has been really fun. A big surprise to us.
It's really cool. I remember I texted Scotty this long thing after I listened to that episode, you know, just like, hey, this was all this, you know, way too long of a text. And he replied and just said, thanks. And that was it. I was like, okay, I get it. Like,
hey, that's good. You got that response. I mean, that's impressive that he texted you back.
I feel like that's such I did not bring you on to talk about Scotty Scheffler, but I feel like what you just described is so emblematic of what I think makes him great at what he does, which is this ability to sort of compartmentalize and categorize these things as like, and he's described this really like you can see him like wrestling with it and talking about it publicly, but like, hey, this is what I do, and I'm going to give 110% when I'm doing it, but when it's over, it's over. And that's so like, I struggle. I'm 12 years older than him, and I struggle with that. Like, how have you struggled with that in your career?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, compartmentalizing there's a bit of it that is really healthy for us. And, it took a while for me to learn. And I'll never forget, I was at the Greenbrier and I got paired with Phil and somebody else. It was a big pairing, had a lot of people watching. Thursday, Friday were intense. I'm exhausted come Friday. And my wife, Dowd texts me, says, hey, we're at such and such restaurant. We'll see you there. So I go literally from putting out on 18, changing my shoes straight to the restaurant. And my kids are little at the time. It's loud in there. They're stressing me out. They're dropping forks on the plate. I'm kind of overwhelmed. And that was where we instituted Dowd's idea. She's like, hey, you should probably have this like little transition period after every round. Like take 30 minutes to yourself, whatever you want to do. Like go get a cup of coffee, go sit in the locker room, go sit in your car. But she's like, you go from one hectic environment to another one with little kids. And dude, we started doing that. I mean, it's been over a decade and that's really helped. But you're right. I mean, she's had a lot of wives reach out to her, just great wives trying to care for their husbands well. Like, hey, he shoots 74. He's a different person all night. And I want to help him. I want to like talk about it if he wants, but he doesn't seem to want to talk about it. And I think golfers are naturally internal processors. So it's something you got to learn and just deal with it. But you know what? If I take my time after the round, it's like a switch flips in my head. I'm like, okay, I'm fully on with family now or whatever else I'm doing. But it's practice.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I heard somebody just describe this one time because I feel the same way. Like if I've got a little backyard office in where we live, and so my commute is 15 seconds. And so if I come in bringing the day's failures or whatever into time with the kids or my wife, then that's like the way somebody described it to me one time is like, you are often setting the temperature for your household with the way you enter in.
Totally.
And I was like, oh man, like that's convicting. And like, I don't do that very well a lot of times.
Yeah. Same.
So yeah, I love the downtime. It's something that I've tried to institute as well. As you've gotten older, what is it? How many years you say you've been out there? 17?
Yeah. I actually started playing in 2008. So like almost 18.
That's crazy. As you've gotten older and you've, just played more, what part of your game do you feel like has gotten better over time? And what part have you struggled with more over time?
Yeah, what a great question. Putting is something that I was always a streaky putter, and I had ups and downs with putting anxiety. And, like I've had plenty of really bad years, like close to last, and I've had years where I've finished top 10 in putting. I think that the last 3 years is the only thing that I've seen significantly get better and more consistent. Paul Tesori and I have had an interesting history in that he caddied for me 12 and a half years. And then we had about a 2.5 year break, and now we're back together. And we've been back together since RSM in November. And here we are, April, and I'm just seeing a little bit of fruit of what we've been working so hard on for 4 months. And I told him just now in the cart, coming back from the range, I said, it's a really nice feeling. I'm really thankful. It's the first time in a long time I felt like I know where the ball's going. And when it doesn't go where I want, I know why. And I haven't felt that in a while. So to answer your question, I think putting's the only thing that's gotten better. I think mentally the last 3 or 4 years, I am probably a little better. I think when you experience disappointing rounds enough, you learn to deal with that better. You also learn to be thankful when a good round comes instead of just expecting it. And I know I took for granted, not on purpose, but being in the majors every year, the big events, you just learn to get used to it. And having missed a few Masters in a row now, I think I played 10 in a row, and then I missed the last 3. Those hurt. I mean, it hurts for all the big tournaments, but the Masters is the one that gets me the most. That's where the little boy in me comes out. you hear the music, and I still love it.
What's the little thing? What's something that's like tiny about Augusta? Not like teeing it up and playing 4 great rounds, but just a little thing throughout that week that you're like, it's so kind of dumb or like whatever, but I just think it's the coolest thing. Or I just love it.
I actually love the par three contest. It's my favorite golf day of the year. I mean, I love normal sport. I love the name, and I love like some of your comments over the years because it is a crazy thing that we do. But in what world do you have the biggest day in golf, arguably on Thursday, and 12 hours earlier, you've got little kids running around the golf course as you're actually playing golf, but it doesn't really matter, but it kind of does. Like it's such a fun way to reset your mind because like you've seen it, guys just they get more serious at Augusta. And part of it is it demands you to be a little more serious, a little more focused. Part of it is I think we all want to play well there, and it's so hard to do it. And so Wednesday's a wonderful reset. That's definitely my favorite tradition of all the great Masters traditions is the Wednesday par three.
It is funny. Like I have not thought about the par three as a normal sport thing. I mean, maybe sometimes like when a kid's hitting or whatever, but it's almost like if Sam Darnold brought his, I don't know if he has kids, but if he brought his kids to like walkthroughs for the Super Bowl,
100%.
And it's like they're like covering some, and you're like, what
Yeah.
what are we doing, man? Like
Right.
we got the Super Bowl tomorrow.
I know. In any other sport, it would be very strange.
That's a great point. What do you remember? I don't know. Maybe your first time to play the course was the first week that you played the tournament, but did you play before that? And what do you remember about the first time you played Augusta National?
I have a unique history with it in that the head pro at my home course growing up had spent some time as an assistant pro at Augusta. So he was my swing coach. He said, when I think you're good enough to play it, I'm going to take you. So I was 12 years old. He took my dad and I'll never forget it. Scotty Cameron had just come out with that Terillium insert putter with those little white Balata balls in the back that Tiger used to win the 97 Masters. Augusta had it in their shop first. I remember it was $275, which at the time was crazy for a putter. And I said, Dad, come on, get it for me. And he's like, I'm not getting it. It's $275. I said, I'm pestering him on the range. I was like, if I shoot 76 or better, I'm 12 years old. Can you give me the putter? And he says, all right, 76 or better, I'll get you the putter. So I'm 8 over on 18, not going to shoot 76. I said, Dad, I'm going to hit driver 3-wood in this hole. If I make birdie, you give me the putter? He goes, yeah, I'll get you the putter. Kyle, I hit driver 3-wood to 4 feet. And as a 12-year-old, I've never missed a putt inside 5 feet. So it's Sunday pin, I'm pin high right. I don't know how I got a 3-wood to stop, but I missed the putt.
Oh.
So 12 years old, I'm immature. I'm devastated. He doesn't want me to remember the day like this. So I got a good dad. So we get about halfway from Augusta to Raleigh. He throws me a sweater at a gas station. He says, throw this in the trunk for me. And open the trunk up, and it's this Augusta green box Scotty Cameron putter. So he bought it. So obviously, beyond the putter, I was in love with Augusta from day one. I went back in college to play it with my dad. And then my first Masters was 2012. And like I said, I got to play 10 in a row, and I loved every minute of it. And I feel like I could say 100 things why I love it, why I love even the madness of it. I have so many memories in the Masters of like, okay, here's the number. This makes no sense, but I have to hit this club. There's no other club to hit. I mean, you have an area this big, 5 feet by 5 feet to land it to get the ball close. And we just don't have that week in, week out. So any and all of it, I love.
What's the difference for you playing it when there's nobody out there, where it's just you and your dad and the assistant, former assistant pro, versus playing on like a Friday afternoon when there's tens of thousands of people out there? What do you prefer one, or like what are the differences there?
Yeah. Obviously more peaceful when it's just, you're playing for fun with your buddies or your dad. But I've always fed off the energy of the crowd. Like I love it. I remember when I started playing well in 2011, getting paired with a Tiger Woods or Phil Mickelson, I seemed to focus better and zero in. So almost the more people made me focus harder because there's more moving parts. And I had some of my best rounds in big pairings. And I think I just fed off that energy. And it's hard. You've heard some golfers talk about, when you're in 51st on Saturday or Sunday, it's hard to like give yourself some energy to get up and get real excited about what's going on the next few holes. Whereas you're in contention, it kind of naturally comes. So, it is stressful at Augusta, like especially a Friday trying to make the cut because the holes coming in can be tricky. But I've only had one legitimate chance to win there. It was 2019. I'm in the second to last group, so I'm playing with Brooks Koepka, Ian Poulter. I'm right in front of Tiger. And that was a day I'll never forget just because I'm old enough at that point to realize I might not get here again. I hope I do. So I really try to take it all in. I remember on 13, I'm in the fairway. Brooks and Ian playing with me, just hitting the water on 12. Molinari and Finau hit it in the water behind me. And it's chaos back there. And I turn around and Tiger's just leaning on his putter on 12, waiting for these guys to drop, to hit it on the green. And I thought, you know what? Whether I win today or not, like this is pretty cool that I get to do this. So end up losing by 2. Guy interviews me after the round. All he wants to talk about is Tiger. And I'm like, man, honestly, I'm happy for Tiger, but I lost by 2, so I'm kind of bummed right now.
Yeah, that's the weird thing about when, like, obviously when Tiger won, the story that everybody gets asked about is Tiger. Even like when Rory won last year, I felt bad for Shane Lowry because it's like, dude, he was kind of like playing, I don't know. The whole thing is just, that can be odd. I actually went back and looked up 2019 today because I heard you talk about it on, I think it was Smiley's podcast last year. There were 16 guys bunched within 5 shots of each other.
Yeah.
So Tiger won at 13. And then at the bottom you had Justin Harding, Matt Kuchar, Poulter, JT, and Bubba Watson were at 8 under. So that was like, they were the bottom of that 16 guys, but everybody else 10, you were 11, 12. I mean, that was I thought Patrick Cantlay was going to win the tournament after he made eagle on 15. You were 1 over through 12, which had to be just, I mean, is there anything you'd go back and you're like, man, I wish that I had that shot over to maybe get a little bit more into the mix?
Yep. Number 2. So I made a good par on 1. 2, I had an 8-footer. And, I have a system with my putting. When I read a putt and I have my final read, I never change. Well, if I feel like I need to change, I'll back off and kind of redo it. But there I'm over the ball. And I guess maybe the pressure of the moment, it's the second hole on Sunday, but I'm right in the mix. I hit my putt anyways and I missed, but my inclination of what I thought it might do, break a little more, was right. And so that's one where I look back and like, who knows what a birdie on 2 might have done to settle me. And that's kind of the disappointing shot. Like, we're going to hit bad shots. We're going to hit some bad putts, but I hate when those moments come as a result of lack of commitment. So I remember that one. And then, like you said, I was 1 over through 12. I wasn't really in the mix per se because I think I birdied 13 and maybe one other birdie, but it was really fun still.
Yeah, you birdied 13, 14, and then 18 to make up for your 12-year-old self that couldn't make 3 there. So you birdied 18 to get to 11 under. Yeah, it was. I mean, I remember that day I was out there. It felt surreal. It felt like
it did.
Like what I imagined Bobby Jones's ticker tape parade in New York felt like. You're just like, well, is this even real? Like, is this the Truman Show? Like, what's going on? Right? It was insane.
We were on 17T, and Koepka's wondering, should he hit? Tiger's about to hit on 16. So he waits. Ball lands. You guys remember the shot. We had this perfect view because 17T is a little elevated, so we could see over the fans on 16. And we have this view, the perfect down the line view of this ball rolling through these pine trees. And it's like halfway there. Paulie turns around and he goes, buddy, what if this goes in? We're like little kids. We're like part of the crowd.
Yeah.
And it goes to 2 feet.
I swear I was standing on 15 walkway because it was so hard to get close. And they had already gone through, so there was nobody still on 15. And so I'm standing on 15 walkway with one of my buddies, Brendan Porath, who's at Fried Egg now. And as soon as it landed, because I think it I want to say it was front left pin, landed up on the hill, and what's going to happen.
Right.
And I grabbed Porath and I was like, he just made a 1. Like, that's going in. And it almost, that would have been just That would have been
You ever
almost too
heard the
much.
story of him asking Joe LaCava to read that putt?
I don't think so.
So it's probably 2.5 feet. It might be 3 feet. So Tiger pulls Joe in for a read, and without skipping a beat, LaCava goes, "It's 2 feet. Knock it in," and he just walks away. And I think Joe, in that moment, I've heard him articulate, like, I think he sensed Tiger might be a little nervous, right? I mean, he's 2 feet.
Yeah.
Tiger Woods is putting it. He doesn't need a read. I think he was probably doing it for a little comfort. And Joe, I think, to settle him, it's 2 feet, man. Knock
Yeah.
it in, and just walked away.
That's a
It was pretty
great.
good caddying.
Well, totally. Like that's like the JP, not McManus, JP Fitzgerald when he was caddying for Rory. Like you're Rory F and McIlroy. Like just go do what you do. You know.
Yeah.
What are some shots? Like take me through the course a little bit. Like what are some shots at the Masters that you see them on TV and you're like, oh, that looks fun, that looks cool, and as a player you're like, oh, it's such a hard shot. Like I don't know how to get this close. I don't know where to leave it. Like what are those shots for you?
Yeah. I mean, like, I'll go through a few of them. Like the first hole, for example, the front left pin, I made triple one year. If you're going where you're supposed to go, 15 feet right, but you're not pin higher just past, the ball come off the green. And
Mm-hmm.
so when you actually look at it, there's an area of probably 10 feet wide, and you don't want to go too much past the hole. So you're talking 10 feet by 10 feet to hit a 7-iron. And I think what fans see and what the highlights show, they might see Tommy Fleetwood hits 9-iron, lands at a yard right of the hole, and he spins it at 3 feet. And most people are like, oh, it's a pretty easy shot. It's such a hard shot. There's such a small landing area. I think of 5, like the front middle pin, they usually do it Thursday, is the hardest pin in golf that we play all year. There's nowhere to hit it. The green's crazy. And then like 6, the back right pin, they'll put 2 in the back right. Your landing zone again is probably 15 feet in depth max, 8 feet wide, but we're hitting a 6-iron. And on 6, you cannot feel the wind. The flag down there is doing crazy stuff. You have to trust what you think is up there. But I think the real like pucker moments come on the back. I mean, 10 is a massively downhill lie to a green that's very skinny. You miss it a foot left of the green, it'll go 30 yards down the hill. Right bunker's typically not good. And by the way, on 10, I would say it's more often than not we're dealing with mud on our balls there for some reason.
Yeah.
11 is brutal. 12 is amazing. I mean, I'm kind of old school there. I hit it in the same spot almost every pin, that middle left side of the green. I hadn't made many birdies on 12, but I hadn't hit in the water. I think I hit in the water once, so I played okay there. 13 is my favorite hole in golf. I mean, the ultimate risk reward. You can make a 3, you can make a 6 so fast. But I will. There's one of my favorite stories is on 15. That's gotten way harder. When I first started playing the Masters, over the green was decent rough, couple more trees. You had to work hard to hit it over the green in the water on 16. Now it's really easy to do. They shave it, it's faster. And if you're in between clubs, you're definitely thinking about that water behind 15. I mean, it's 30 yards back there, as you guys know, but it's in play. So when your course is baked, greens are brown, it's at back right pin on Sunday, and Paulie gives me the number. And in my head, I think, okay, it's a perfect hybrid on normal greens, but I can't hold a 3-iron hybrid on these greens. It'll go over every time. And then I think, well, 4-iron's not enough. I would have to hit a high hook flush 4 to land it 4 or 5 yards over the water. And then I thought, my only other option was laying up. And I go, I'm not laying up. So what am I going to do? And I thought, Paulie's never going to let me hit this high hook 4, but that's what I want to do. And right as I think that, he goes, hey, buddy, I know this sounds crazy, but are you comfortable hitting a high hook 4-iron? I'm like, that's what I was thinking. And sure enough, I hit a high hook 4 that I would never hit anywhere else, lands 5 yards over the water, goes to 25 feet. But like, you don't know that watching on TV. Even as fans,
Yeah.
like, you're like, man, that's a great shot. But like, to know how nervous we are standing over a 4-iron, if I miss it at all, it's in the water. So, there's so many little intricacies like that where if you're a little off, you're exposed. But last thing I'll say, one thing Phil Mickelson shared with Sean O'Hare that I found out through Paul is Augusta is a place where you do not have to be perfect. They give you a bailout side almost every hole. And so it's nice knowing at a place that hard that you can actually steer your way around a little bit, and still get the job done.
Okay, let's take a quick break from talking to Webb to talk a little bit about Seed Golf. Seedgolf.co. They are our golf ball sponsor, and they've been a sponsor of ours for pretty much since the inception of our company as a full-time job for me. They're one of our favorites. Just an awesome company to work with. They're out of Ireland. They make an amazing golf ball. One of our favorite golf balls that they make is the SD01. As good as anything out there at a price everyone can afford, which is kind of the ethos of Seed Golf. Just an incredible product, an incredible team. Again, check them out at seedgolf.co. And in keeping with the theme of this first major week of the year, all week on the newsletter, we're giving something away every single day. We're giving away speakers and golf clubs and just all kinds of stuff. And specifically for the listeners of this podcast, we're going to give away a dozen Seed golf balls to 3 different people. And the only thing you have to do is be one of the first 3 people to email me and tell me what hole at Augusta National did Webb Simpson make his first ever birdie on in this tournament. His first career birdie in this tournament. What hole did it come on? You have to email me that answer, and we will send you a dozen Seed golf balls with our logo, Norman's little face on those golf balls. They've made those for us. They're very custom. They're very cool. And again, check them out at seedgolf.co. Well, that's a little bit, that's an amazing story. And I want to talk about 13 and 15 in a second and the changes that have been made there. But one of my theories about the Masters is, I think Justin Ray had this stat last year. It's like 37 of the last 38 winners have been, I want to say it was like top 8 after 2 rounds. And it seems to me as somebody that's watching that the reason for that is because it's easy, quote unquote, to make pars, but it's very difficult to it's also very easy to make doubles when you're trying to make birdie.
Totally. Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
I would agree. And that we had the same mindset at US Opens as Augusta in that everyone's going to make bogeys this week. Let's avoid doubles. We can control that for the most part. And we didn't have that mindset at the Open Championship, not at the PGA Championship, but Augusta and the US Open, they're so different in so many ways, but similar in that if you're not careful, if you're a little like lapse in focus for 1 second, you're going to make a double so fast. And then we had to learn to be okay with bogeys because at Augusta, we got 4 par 5s, pretty much all reachable. 8's a little long for me, but you got 3, you're going to have a wedge in. A couple other holes, you might have a wedge in. So you have birdie opportunities. Let's not give 2 away the field. Everyone's going to make a bogey here and there. And, I think another element that makes Augusta so hard that the announcers don't discuss that often, when you're dealing with greens that fast, they lose friction. And so the ball kind of skates on the green. And then you add in wind, which most Aprils in Augusta, there's some wind. It's the hardest place to putt, in my opinion, of anywhere on tour when the greens are dry, if they're normal Augusta firm fast. Because you have a 7-footer that you might read right edge, but the wind is straight right to left, 12 miles an hour, and it's the putt slightly downhill. All of a sudden, you're playing at 2 cups, and it's kind of a guess. And so that element is so hard. Chipping's not that hard at Augusta. They're very liberal with their overseeded grass, so you get pretty good lies most of the time. But putting is something that I don't think is talked about enough how hard it is there.
Well, that's where I think Tiger gets a lot of credit for his ball striking and his iron play, and obviously all that was really good. But his lag putting at majors and specifically at the Masters was like the most underrated thing because he's not giving himself 5.5 feet for par. He's 1 foot 2, and that. I mean, I remember, I think it was Michael Kim last year tweeted about how he's like, it's Friday and I'm exhausted. Like, I'm so tired of playing this golf. Like just from it just completely drains you. Have you had that experience when you play also?
Absolutely. you're so excited to be there. The facilities are amazing. You feel like, which is rare for us to feel like this now. We did as kids, but you feel like you can be out there all day and enjoy the chipping green, enjoy the range, enjoy the putting green, and just being at the Masters. We're fans as well, even though we're playing it. Like, we're fans of the tournament, and so you got to be so careful Monday through Wednesday. And it took me a couple years to really learn my rhythm. I did something different at Augusta than I did at the other majors, where I would just play 9 a day starting Sunday. I don't like to get to tournaments that early, but there it feels a little different. But yeah, you're exhausted. You really are. There's so much that you're thinking about. There's so many analytics on every shot that you kind of have to deal with. Like, you're sitting in 11 fairway and the pin's middle left and the wind's in 2 out of the right, and your target is 35 feet right of the hole. And so you're dealing with that, the downhill into the wind, the wind picks up. Like, there's so much happening. And then you get to 12 and you got the downwind pin or into the wind pin on 11 and 12's downwind. And you're like, are we guessing here? Is this what we're doing, Paulie? Are we just guessing? So yeah, I agree with Michael.
I heard you talk about that I think it was on Smiley's pod also, but like, Brooks hit, I think you're Brooks and Poulter in your group in 2019, and they hit one club and then Poulter hits another and they both go in the water and you're like, I don't know what to hit, man. Like, what do I do here?
Brooks hit 9, flushed it right at it, water. Poulter, who he and I were the same with irons, he hits 8, just left of the hole, solid shot, short. And that's where a good caddy really helps at a place like Augusta, because I remember he said, he looked at his book, he goes, buddy, the numbers aren't lying. I don't know what to tell you. Like, this is what we're trying to do. And all Paulie said there after seeing those 2 shots, he said, just hit it really low. Like, the wind's not going to do that much if you hit it really low. So in that moment, a good caddy is huge to kind of free you up, because there's certain times, whether it's Augusta or US Open or Players Championship, where there's so much stimuli for us. There's so many things we're thinking about that we almost need our caddy to think for us. And if I get overwhelmed with a lot of information or a very difficult shot, I'll sometimes just look at Paul and say, hey, tell me what we're doing here. And he'll say, buddy, we're hitting a 165 8-iron at that target right there. And sometimes I just got to trust him, because, this many years together, he knows what he's doing. I believe in him.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, 13 and 15. You said 13 is your favorite golf hole in the world. Do you like it more now than you did before they changed it, or did you like it more back then?
So I was very skeptical of the change. I thought an easy fix, and I told a couple of Augusta members this. I said, here's my humble opinion. We played Wingfoot US Open, COVID year, and the 4th hole is a par 4, it's dogleg left. They have this little tree. No player would remember it, I feel like. It's 50 yards off the tee in the left rough. Well, all the bombers had to hit 3-wood, because bombers can't really turn their driver anymore right to left, so they had to hit 3-wood. So Paulie and I started thinking, we're like, you know what? How many holes at Augusta could you solve a distance problem with a tree? Because I played a practice round with Rory there one year. Rory hits a cut on 2. Rory hits a cut on 9. Rory hits a cut on 14. And I finally asked Rory, I'm like, Rory, I know you're a drawer of the ball. I've seen you hit cuts all day around these right to left holes. Why? And he said, because I feel like if I cut it and I pull it, it's going to be higher with more spin, so it'll carry further. Whereas if I pull a draw, it's going to be lower or less spin. It might hit the pine trees. But they could fix that very easily by planting a tree. It'll take away the ability to cut the golf ball and force guys to either try to turn a driver or hit 3-wood. So all that to say, 13, I haven't played it since the tee's been in place. Paul's very critical of things like that, changes like that. He said it actually was great. He loved it. He felt like most guys were hitting it to the same spot. And you kind of go back to 3, 4s, and 5 irons into the green versus some of these guys, you get the right wind, they're hitting 8 and 9 irons, and we don't want to see that. So I think overall it's pretty good.
They need Victor Hovland to be the one to bring about change after what he did at Riviera. Didn't they put like a scoreboard or a tree or something there whenever he was trying to go down
on 15? Yeah.
Yeah.
My grandfather didn't like how one of the holes was playing at our home club, so he and his friends went out and planted a tree in the middle of the night. Maybe you could do that as well, Webb.
I think Hovland was the one at Augusta last year that tried to go up and over the sort of clearing on 10, like after the trees came down on 10. Like he tried to go way left there, and I don't know. He does crazy stuff. But 13 and 15 to me, they seem way harder. 15 especially. Like there just haven't been that many eagles, but I kind of, easy for me to say because I'm not hitting the shots, I've kind of liked it. It does seem like they're true, like, hey, are you going for it or not? Because, before it was like you said, 8 iron, 9 iron, 7, whatever. How good was Rory's shot from where he hit it in that final round last year?
Unbelievable. You're talking about on 15, right?
On 15, yeah.
You're not talking about his wedge shot on 13.
I was not. No, I wasn't.
No, so 15, I mean, he had to hook it quite a bit. When you hook it, you're going to hit it a little further. So you have to gauge how much further is this ball going to travel. Again, when you're hooking it, it's going to have less spin. He's dealing with all these thoughts. And under that pressure, after what happened on 13, it's got to go down as one of the greatest shots in Masters history. And at that point, I think the whole world is rooting for him after what happened on 13. But to give the listeners an example of like the crazy thoughts that go in our head, like I remember one year, front right pin on 15 on Friday, and it's into the wind for the wedge shot. And so it's so easy to hit that wedge shot a yard or two short, spin it back in the water. So naturally hit it a little harder than you mean to. And I had like 35 feet, Fred Couples and I above the hole. And now I'm putting straight downwind. And there's probably only 6 feet of green after the hole until it'll go in the water.
Yeah.
So as you're reading this putt, right, where PGA Tour players, we're in the Masters, we're the best golfers in the world. No, we're actually thinking, do not putt this in the water. Like I'm having that thought. So in a sense, you're not trying to leave it 5 feet short because that'd be a brutal putt for par, but you're lagging for sure on that putt. And when guys have hit it in the water, put it in the water, we don't think, oh, what a terrible putt. We're like, oh man, I get it. Like that could have happened to me. Exactly. But 15 is a wild green for a wedge shot, especially the left pin. I like to lay up on that hole when it's front left. I like to lay up way down the right, so I got somewhat of an angle. Because if you lay up down the middle or left, you have 3 to 4 yards distance-wise where you can land it. And, you see TrackMan and quads every week. Guys are working on distance control, but from 100 yards on a downslope into the grain, 3 or 4 yard delta is very small. And so you pile on top of all that. If you hit it in the water short, you're hitting the shot again. And if you hit it too hard and you go over, it's a tough up and down. So that's kind of almost every hole. You have these moments where you feel like you're overthinking and you're kind of mad at yourself for overthinking, but a lot of times you have to think so much out there.
Do you ever, this is a very dumb comparison, but I played the media lottery in 2017, and it again, it felt like the Truman Show, because you're like, there's nobody out there. It was so weird and, I mean, amazing, but just like almost surreal. Mm-hmm. And over every shot, my only swing thought was, well, I'll never get to hit this shot again. And that's not a good swing thought.
No.
I'm curious if, like, when you're playing and you're like kind of in it on the weekend, especially at a place like Augusta that's larger than life, are you thinking, like, is it easy for you to stay in the shot, like in the moment, or do all these other things start kind of pinging into your head?
Yeah, they definitely get into your head a little bit. There's just more distraction that we're dealing with as players in general. You got your family there, you got friends coming. To a lot of the people there, it's a party. It's a few days off of work. You're enjoying the food and drink of Augusta National. And so you kind of learn to create a system within your family and friends where you can lock down everything and treat it like a work week. So there's like the whole element of away from the golf course. That's a challenge, especially for rookies and young guys. It's hard for these 23 and 4-year-olds to say to their family, I can't do anything this week. Like, I need a rest. But good families, I think, understand that. But yeah, you're trying not to treat it as anything more special or more than any other shot. Like if I have a 9-iron on the first hole tomorrow at Valero, technically the objective of the shot is the same as a 9-iron on the first hole of the Masters. It's just how well can you believe that it's the same versus, oh, this is the Masters.
Yeah.
Like this is
Yeah.
different. It was the most nervous I'd ever been on the first tee 2012, my first Masters. But I remember telling myself like, hey, you've hit a gazillion of these tee shots. And you're trying to talk yourself into a good one. And I just said, the fairway's 50 yards wide. Like you're fine. But it feels elevated there. And maybe not to like all golfers. Maybe it's more for the Americans that it feels like just special. But like growing up, I had an 8-footer on my putting green so many nights to win the Masters. No offense to the other majors. I love them all for different reasons, but the Masters is the Masters.
Yeah, I think I've felt that. I mean, obviously, I've not in your shoes, but I've felt that out there of like there and the Open. I mean, I've only been to the only Open I went to was St. Andrews, and it's to me, both of those have settings that are just like the way I described Augusta last year. I wrote this essay. Is it's so intimate and it's also like the biggest stage in the sport, and so put like jamming those two things together, it just creates this weird, like exhausting, kind of week.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, the people who haven't been, they think of Augusta, the town, and like all of it as like this Disney, and it's like no, it's like a really small kind of broken down town in some parts, and also the biggest stage in sports. And you're like, those two things together just they feel, it feels weird. Last two course questions, I guess, in terms of angles. I was thinking about this when you were talking about 11. Augusta's a place, and this is true of other places as well, but it seems like you do need to be on one side of the fairway or the other. Is that how many holes are like that out? Is it all of them? Like, what do you think about when you think about trying to be on one side of the fairway or the other?
Yeah, I think about it probably more on par fives. Like if I'm going to lay up, for example, 8, eight's the longest par 5. I don't know if it's the longest on the card, but it plays the longest. And so that's a hole where you lay up really matters, because the back left pin and kind of the front middle pin, you're okay getting it up like up the right and having an angle. But when they put it back right or middle right, if you lay up too far right of the green, you have really no shot, no ability to get it close. So that's where you start flirting with hitting it up the middle to left center. But you don't want to miss your layup too far left because you'll be in the pine trees in the pine straw. And then wind matters so much there. When the greens are fast, depending on the angle, like same spot on 8. If the pin's middle right, but the wind on the hole is straight left to right, all of a sudden now, if you lay up too far right, you're hitting straight into the wind. So you kind of cheat your angle a little bit there. 13, guys lay up in wild spots, either way up the left to go straight up the green or way up the right, almost hit the people there on the corner, 13 and 14, to go kind of straight across the creek. And 13's got a couple unique pins where that factors into our layup. Like the back left one, we want to get it way down there, so we're just kind of hitting a pitch up the hill. You don't want any spin on your wedge shot. Whereas like Sunday pin, where it always is kind of middle right, I'd rather have spin, get it up there, but have the ability to spin the ball back. So yeah, and guys have different philosophies. 3 is a hole that's changed a lot as guys have gotten longer. My first few Masters, hardly anybody hit driver. Now, I think the full cover on the bunkers maybe 285, maybe 290. Most of the guys in the field can do that every time. And so many guys will hit driver there all 4 days. Because if you can fly it that far, your fairway is literally 70 yards wide. And now you're hitting this tricky kind of pitch up the green. And there's a couple pins that pitch is really hard. But our conversation is usually, okay, if the wedge shot's really hard as well, I'd rather a hard 40-yard shot than a hard 90-yard shot. Mm-hmm. So there's a ton of work that Paulie and I would put in pre-round. Take us 20 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes. We'd go through every hole, every pin, and the wind on that hole, and really have a game plan and kind of know what we're doing and kind of refresh me on proper miss spots, like where you can and can't miss it. That was always helpful for us.
What are the shots on, this is the last course thing, but what are the shots on the course that you're like, I can't take that on? I might be able to hit it because I can hit pretty much any shot, but it might be like a 1 out of 5 or a 1 out of 3, and I can't take it on because then I bring double or triple into play.
Yeah, I think anytime on 13 that we had a pretty good hanging lie, and I had like an awkward club, like I didn't like anytime I had hybrid 5-iron or 6-iron, I felt good. But if I had like a chip 5 wood or even a 3 wood, I didn't like it. Like I would just lay up. Um, a pin that I never liked was back right on 16. I felt like the guys that made birdie there to hit it close either have just a lot more guts than I do, or they're oblivious to the fact that the right bunker is, we call it a water hazard. Like if you hit it in the right bunker, pin high on 16 to the back right flag, you're going to hit your bunker shot down the hill every time. And then you have a tough 2-putt for bogey. So that's one where we would actually try to end up about 20 feet short because we thought if I push it a little, it stays in that kind of fairway area, I can actually chip it close. Perfect shot's 20 feet short. If I pull it, I'm still fine. That was always a pin that made me pretty uncomfortable, but that's the nature of Augusta is you're very uncomfortable all day. And can you be really committed when you're uncomfortable? I mean, I got to tell this, that Paulie brought this up today. I hit a cold shank on 16 one time to the front right pin, and it was an 8-iron.
I remember it. I wasn't going to bring it up, but
I'll bring it up because this is funny. So 8-iron, and you know how many people are right of 16. It took us 15 minutes just to clear everybody out. I mean, they got their cups, their merchandise, they got the whole thing. And so sure enough, I chip it in the front bunker, nice up and down for bogey. We go to 17. I'm pretty embarrassed at this point. Pins middle right, winds right to left 20 miles an hour. And Paulie gives me the numbers, and it's an obvious like cut 8-iron, just left of the hole to hold the win. So Paulie goes, I like that. Let's play that hook 9-iron, Webb. And I'm like, hook 9-iron to a middle right pin with a right to left win? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, I just think it's a good play for us here. And I looked at him like, what are you talking about? And he kind of leans in. He goes, well, you just shanked this cut 8-iron on the last hole. Are you sure you want to do it? I said, give me the 8-iron. So, of course, I hit I towed it, pulled it to about 45 feet with my 8-iron. But we still laugh at that one because when has he ever recommended a shot like that? Only after a shank.
That's incredible. That's so good. I mean, how would you not tow it at that point? You can't. I mean, you can't let it. You can't even get close to the
ball. Had no chance to not be towed.
Yeah. That's so good. I remember I hit like 2 good shots during my media round, and I hit it to like a foot of the back right pin on 16. The problem was we were playing the front left pin, and it didn't come down the hill. So
you're no chance.
I wish it was like a 3 or 4 putt or something like that. The back right pin on 16 is so hard. It's so hard. My grandfather had master's badges since like the late 80s, and so my family always went. I got to go with my dad, got to go with friends and whatever, and we would always sit on 16. And so like you get to know what the shots coming in are going to do, based on where the pin is. And it's like I always tell people, if you go to a practice round, if you go to a tournament day, like go sit on 16. It's so fun, and you can see 6, and you can watch guys come up, like hit into 15 and 17, and it's.
My first Masters, I was 11, went with a buddy, and I actually sat on 16 all day, and I loved it. You're right. There's so many fun things you can see there.
Yeah, it's very cool. Well, what are your so we're taping this on right before the Texas Open in San Antonio. Hopefully you win the Texas Open, get into the Masters. So we're talking about that next week.
I love it.
What if not? What do you do? Like, what's your plans during Masters week? Do you have it on Thursday 7 a.m.? Like, what does that look like?
I will be practicing on Thursday, Friday at Quail. I'll have it on my iPad. I'll kind of have it on. I like to listen to it. Saturday, Sunday, Dowd is so funny. She says, the only 2 days I know like you will be glued to a television is if you're not in the Masters on the weekend. So I'll watch all day Saturday, Sunday. Kind of feel like a bum when it's all said and done. Like I feel like I've done nothing, but it's worth it to me. And I feel like I'm so emotionally invested in the tournament. I'm tired. I didn't hit a shot, and I'm tired after watching. Right?
Yeah. This is our world. You're entering into our world of like, I feel like it was, especially last year. I mean, last year was crazy. And yeah, what was I know you've interacted with Rory a lot over the years. What was your experience, or how did you experience him winning? What was that like watching for you?
I mean, and you know this as well as I do, when you're in this world and you've been in it for a while, you know how unique and special a Grand Slam is. And I mean, I'll be the first golfer to say, like, I definitely thought it was going to happen for him. Um, and we all believed it was, he's the favorite there almost every year, it seems like, till Scotty Scheffler comes along. But I know what he's going through, not in the sense of trying to accomplish the Grand Slam, but to have the weight of the golfing world kind of wanting you to do something. Like, it's a familiar feeling in a sense of, the moment. He knows exactly what's happening.
Hmm.
And you saw one of the best golfers ever, Rory McIlroy, do some things on the back nine that he would never do. And not that pressure got to him. I just think the moment is so big when it comes to the game of golf that it does affect you. Um, but it also, like, yes, he screwed up 13, 18 is in the middle of the fairway. But also, I mean, to come back from that and hit the two shots he hit in the playoff is so remarkable that, like, that to me, if I'm Rory, I'll walk away. Yeah, I wish I had ran away and won by 5, but to come back after that, the way he finished to hit those two shots. I mean, Justin Rose, as you know, is a long hitter, and Rory's 35 by him in that playoff. Like, he hit that's an unbelievable drive. So I felt inspired. I'm in a different place in my career than Rory, obviously, but it actually got me excited about golf again. That's when my wife and I had a serious talk Sunday night about hiring Paul Tesori back as someone who's helped me in my golf swing, my golf game so much. And I still want to win some more golf tournaments. Um, and I thought Paulie's going to help me get there. So it was cool. It was like a bigger Sunday moment for me than I realized.
Yeah. I mean, I feel the same way. We named our book The Weight of Rory, and it's another little C.S. Lewis shout out,
That's cool.
an allusion to Weight of Glory. But I think it resonated with I wrote about this in the book, but it resonated with so many people because you could see this unburdening of somebody and he said it after. He was like, I've been carrying this around and I don't even know if I realized it. And you're like, dude, that's the human condition. Like, that's like everybody, it's different. It's a very first world. Like, it's the Masters. It's not,
Uh-huh.
Other things that people carry around. But I think it resonated because people were like, man, if that can be unburdened, like, maybe I can release some of the burdens in my own life. And I thought that part of it was very, that was the part that was inspiring to me and that I thought really resonated with a lot of other people.
Yeah. And I think, his history at Augusta, was it 2010? He had a big lead. There's been moments where he's had 2011. Yeah, there's been moments where he's, I think, leaving Magnolia Lane so let down. Also, he's had incredible Masters finishes over the years. And you put a golf course on paper. Augusta National is built for Rory McIlroy. It's also built for my fellow Demon Deacon Cameron Young, who's probably one of the four or five favorites this year. But yeah, getting to see, I played against Rory in the Walker Cup in 07, knew he was a superstar then. And, I was really happy for him, for all that he's done for the game, but I knew it was the one he wanted most.
We're going to have to have you back on to talk about that 2007 Walker Cup team. That was,
Oh yeah.
I mean, DJ, Horschel, was Jonathan Moore on that team?
Jonathan Moore, Jamie Lovemark, Chris Kirk, Ricky Fowler, Colt Knost. At one point, we had eight of our 10 Walker Cuppers were on the PGA Tour full status. The two that weren't, Jonathan Moore was on the Asian Tour, and Trip Keeney never turned pro. So, pretty good team.
Yeah, Jonathan Moore was like the worst guy on that. He was the NCAA champion, and you're like, he's like the the least accomplished. Yeah, that was insane.
It was wild. That was fun.
Okay, last thing I got is Rory said something last year, and I'm curious about your take on it because you've won a major, you've won a player, like you've been very accomplished, and he said something about there's a moment in a tournament when you can kind of like commit yourself to like I'm going for, like, emotionally I'm going for this. I'm okay if it doesn't work out. That sounds, I think, weird to people that don't play golf or maybe don't play sports or whatever. What does that feel like when you're in that moment? What does it feel like to be like, okay, I'm going for it. I'm emotionally committing myself to this. I'm not going to play it safe. Like, what does that even mean as you're kind of carrying out the tournament?
Yeah, I remember US Open 2012. I birdied 6, 7, 8, and 10. And I knew at that point I was right in the mix. And I got nervous, like the good nervous, though, like where you're confident, but you know you're going to have a chance to win come 18th hole. And I kind of had a pep talk with myself. I thought, okay, your whole life, all the work you put in, like, do you do it to finish 10th? No, you do it to win a golf tournament. And so I'm going to embrace these last 6 or 7 holes. I'm going to enjoy it. Because, like I said, even then I knew like winning majors is so hard. Like, I might not have this chance again, but I'm going to give it everything I got. And so I think that's probably what he was talking about. Like, no regrets, no like guiding it, no trying to finish second or protect your lead on third, whatever. Like, you have a chance to win, try to win it. Um, the players was very different because I had a bigger lead. It was almost harder there than US Open because you're battling like, this is my tournament. The only way I'm going to lose is if I give it up. And so that was a weird kind of Sunday for me. I'd never experienced before on the PGA Tour. But one tournament comes to mind where I felt like I put the gas pedal down and I kept it down. It was RBC Heritage. I was like hitting it well, but making no putts through 11 holes. And I was probably 3 back. But I birdied 12. And I remember on 13, I look at the leaderboard. I think I was 1 back or 2 back. So maybe 1 shot better than I thought. And I had a 30-footer. And I thought, okay, I'm not leaving a putt short coming in. I hit that putt a little hard, but it went in on 13. Birdied 15. 16, I got a 10-footer, so normal speed. But then 17, I had another 30-footer. And I did the same thing. I said, I don't care if it goes 3, 4, 5 feet by. Like, I'm getting it to the hole. And it went right in the middle. Par 18, won by 1 shot over Answer. But that was where I felt like I'm not here to have a good finish. I want to win. And that's a good feeling because you feel like when you leave, whether you finish first or fifth, like you did do everything you could to win. You didn't try to be safe, or you didn't try not to mess up. And so that was a great feeling knowing like gas pedal was down. I made some birdies coming in.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. Give me a guy that you've played with that you're like, this guy could win the Masters. Like I mean, obviously like Scotty, don't give me Scotty, but somebody that is kind of a little off the radar.
You think on paper, Augusta's not great for Russell Henley, but Russell's played really well at Bay Hill. So if we get a firm Masters, it needs to be firm, I think, for Russ. He has what it takes. Like, he has the mind. He's got full game through the bag. Pretty local to Augusta-ish. So I think he's a guy that no one would probably consider, but he's, top, what is he, 7th in the world or whatever. That'd be awesome.
He's 10th in the world, 8th in data golf. Good history at the Masters too. I remember he sneaky finished T4 in that 2023 with Rahm and Brooks when they were kind of duking it out. And he's been really good there. It is funny, like you don't think of him because he doesn't hit it like Rahm or Brooks, right? But he's had like 5 top 25s. Yeah, he's been solid. That'd be really cool. That'd be a really cool.
And honestly, Kyle, I mean, the history there. It's funny. So many people who aren't super familiar with the golf course or the tournament even, they think you got to putt good. It's actually the opposite. Ball strikers win Augusta. We've had so many winners there who are not good putters historically. Like, in fact, plenty of winners who putting is the worst part of their game. I won't name names, but you know who I'm talking about, a bunch of guys. And so it's a second shot golf course. And so Russell Henley is one of the best iron players in the world. And he can handle back nine on Sunday at Augusta.
One of my favorite party games right now with my golf friends, which sounds really lame, but like Russell Henley career earnings, they are much higher than
crazy?
People would guess.
Yes,
they're very high.
They are. Yeah, yeah.
He can afford all the coffee equipment that you recommend to him.
I had dinner with him last night. He didn't buy dinner, so maybe I'll give him a hard time.
Oh, that's messed up. That's messed up. Okay, Jason, you got anything else for Webb while we got him?
I've said absolutely nothing. I've just been sitting here enjoying the conversation. I was so tickled that you think the par 3 is your favorite part of the Masters, but you've been there with your kids many, many years. What's their favorite thing at Augusta when they go to the tournament?
Honestly, probably the par 3 course, because they haven't been old enough. Like, they're starting to watch me now. Like, they come follow me now, but in my last Masters, they weren't quite old enough to walk around and like really enjoy it. So that day, they feel like they're a part of it. Honestly, it's the caddy area. You know, they go in and change. They're crushing Gatorades, candy bars. Like, that's if we get down to the nitty gritty, that's probably their favorite spot, is the caddy dining.
That's amazing. Yeah, the kids, they don't enjoy the things that you think they're going to enjoy, which I'm sure there's a lesson in there somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we renovated a house a few years ago, and they're like, well, once it was done, they're like, well, why can't we have the dirt piles back? And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess.
Point.
We should have.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's funny. Well, thanks for your time, man. I appreciate it. Best of luck at TPC San Antonio, and
thank you.
Yeah, if you're in it on Sunday, go get the win so we can see each other in Augusta again.
I hope I see you next week. That'd be awesome.
That would be great. Okay, well, we'll talk to you later.
Thanks, guys.